Welcome y'all to another episode of our Shenzhen I Let's Play. This will be episode 5, and if you remember last time we just finished up with the wireless controller. So let's go check out what device 2A27 is. Okay, that's right, this is the one about the robots. Hopefully they will be benevolent overlords. Let's go see what the requirements are. Okay, we have 2 inputs, 1 output. X and Y are simple inputs. Power is a simple output. And now we need to go look at the supplementary data to see what we need to do. This looks a bit more complicated than it really is. For the robotic arm, at least on the space station, they have plots like this. They're very similar. While they call it a flux point here, basically it's a place where the equations of motion they're using, the kinematic equations for the way they drive the arm, kind of breaks down and you get some very nasty solutions because they're using sines and cosines, where you're going to have a collision either way. And they call them puddle plots. This looks very similar to that. And we even have that danger flux point here, right here in the middle, that's saying, you know, this is a bad place. We don't want to be driving it at this point. So if we were doing this normally like a person, then we'd say, so we look at our X, we look at our Y, and then wherever that ends up on this chart, that's the power output we get. So if we have a X is 10, we would end up about here. And then if we had a Y is, say, 10, 2, then we would be here in the 30. So basically just anywhere X is less than 20, the Y is irrelevant, and so we're 30. Also interesting to note, anywhere this is greater than equals 60, so okay, so this says 80, so that's what this is. So anywhere X is greater than or equal to 80, or less than or equal to, or less than 20, we always have 30 power output. We might be able to take advantage of that to simplify some of this logic. The logic for this chart looks fairly straightforward. We're gonna have to see how we can make this a little bit tighter and smaller on the logic though, because I don't think we have an easy way we can make something like this. And I know we can't do any cheapy things like a lookup table. Not that you'd probably want one for this, because it's 100 times 100, so that's like 10,000 values. You wouldn't really want something like this. Let's go see what we can do. We have 3 simple I/O lines that we need to deal with, which means we're going to need at least 2 chips. The question is, can we get the logic small enough to actually do it all on one chip, and then maybe use another one as a relay, or be able to combine the two into some fancy way? Pretty sure we're going to need a big one, at least for some of this. So let's just take this one and just go slap it over here. And then we can just relay its output, assuming that we can do this in one to this one. We'll have this one output, just because I like actually being able to read this easier. We're going to have these chain up like this. And then we're going to route the wires like that. So if you're curious why I do it using the bridge instead of going underneath like I could like this. Example, I just think for y'all, it's a little bit easier to see it using the bridge, and we don't really need to use it that way. If we were tight on I/O line or space, then absolutely we would do it that way. But since we're not, I don't see the value in it. And then we'll just run this one straight there. And so because of that, let's just do this. So we could do the sleep-X and then read it out and send it out, but we're probably going to be doing this every cycle. If we were smart, we would have a way of being able to do a data change on the bigger chip and say, did this value change from last time? No, then don't write it out. But we'll leave that as a bonus exercise for later, because right now we just need to get it to work. That is usually the goal number one anytime you're doing kind of programming or something. Get something work, because once you have that, then you can actually optimize and do intelligent things, because you'll have a better understanding of what else is going on, and most importantly, some of the edge cases that you won't know about until you start doing this, which is usually most young engineer programmer types first lesson. And man, that looks easy. Why can't you just do that in like 3 lines of code? Well, I assure you, it can be done in 3 lines of code, as long as you don't need it to work for anything other than like maybe the simplest of case. So I've been staring at this for a while, and I'm not really coming up with anything of a way to do this. I keep just kind of cycling back to like, oh, we're going to need multiple chips, each one to kind of handle different regions, and I think we can do better. So I'm going to take another play out of the folks who created the flight software for the SSRMS, or the robotic arm on the space station, and we're going to go validate our logic before we ever write any assembly here in game. And before y'all wonder, no, I'm not going to make y'all watch me actually write other code. I already have it all written up, just kind of wanted to run y'all through it. So we're here in one of my favorite editors, in one of my favorite languages. And it's very simple. Let me give you a quick rundown of how this works. Basically, all we're doing is you're going through all of the x's, and for every x, we're going through all the y's that are possible for that x in combination with that x, which in this case is 0 to 100 each time. Doesn't vary depending on that. So we only have 10,000 checks to make. So this is the simple validation of making sure that our basic code works. Let's go see the function I kind of came up with to do this, and I'll explain it. We start off by assuming, so right here you can see, we start off by just assuming 30. And that's because 3 out of our 5 cases have 30 as the output. That should help us reduce down any needs to go reset it to 30 or anything like that. We just say, okay, you're just 30. 2 of the cases then have the other 2 cases set it to 0. So then we come here and say, okay, so let's check to see if we're in that area of so greater than or equal to 20 or greater than 19, both equal the same thing, and less than 60. So we know then we're in this area, so we need to set it to 0. So the next thing we need to do is we need to go check here and say, are we then in one of these areas? And this is where we start doing the math, because if we know we're greater than or equal to 40, or in this case greater than 39, on the x and the y, as well as being less than 80 on the y, so then we know we're in this area right here. Since we already know output was taken care of, then we know we're in one of 3 cases here. We either need to add 50 to our output if we're here, or here. So these 2 we add 50, and over here, then we just need to output 30. We know we're here. Let's just add 50. Because we know we're in this area. We know we're not up here because we actually checked for it. So now we're down to one of 3 cases. And actually, if we add 50, then if we were in this one, we know that's taken care of because our output was 30 already. And if we're in this one, it was 0, so then we're at the right value. Only thing left to check is, are we over here? If we're over here, then we need to subtract the 50 we just added. Seems silly, but it's fewer logic checks. And so as we can see then, we add 50, and then if we're greater than or equal to 80, then we subtract 50. Done. And as you can see, we are now down to 11 lines of logic. Still too many lines to get away with using a smaller chip, but with the number of I/O lines we have to use the big chip anyways. So it's not that big of a deal. However, the fewer lines, the less power we use. Let's go make that actually into some assembly code. So, and if you're curious why I'm saying that this was a page taken straight out of the folks who developed the robotic arm on the space station's book, before they wrote any code, they actually went and implemented did all the algorithms for the control system in MATLAB and actually validated them that way to make sure everything was cool before they wrote any flight software code. And so that's what we did. We wrote an algorithm and tested it before we actually even wrote any assembly. Now to see if our actual test environment was done well enough it'll hold up here, which is always the next fun stage. Let's get it done. Move 30 to the accumulate, because remember that's what we're assuming. Now we need to do our first check. Are we greater than 19? If we're then also less than 60. And if we are, I don't remember if I talked about this last time, but this is how you do an AND. If this returns false, both of these will be disabled. If it returns true, this will be enabled. Well, these will both be enabled, but then when this evaluates, it'll then turn everything below it on or off. And that's kind of the way you can stack up commands, is by the last thing that evaluates turns everything that it's connected to on or off. And so that's how we get an AND here, which I'll show you when we run. I'll kind of step through it and so you can see what I mean. So we checked our next area zones if we need a 0. So now we need to check if we're greater than 39 on the X and Y and less than 80. If our X is greater than 39, and y is greater than 39, and our y is less than 80, then we add 50. And remember, this is all still enabled because we matched our 3 checks there first, so we can then do something, and then we can do another check of whether x is less than, and if we are less than 79, or if we're greater than or equal to 80, we need to subtract 50. That's our output. So then we need to actually write that out like a return. Accumulator to x3, and then we need to sleep one, and that should work. So let's go give it a shot. Okay, and we'll do a quick rundown so I can show you what I mean. So move 30, test greater than, and you see how all the pluses then lit up? So now we're gonna say, are we less than 60? We are. This is still lit up and enabled. Move 0. Now we check to see if we're greater than 39, which we are not. So all the pluses should just get disabled, bam, move to the next one. And that gets written out, which then means this one reads it and everybody sleeps and we go to the next cycle. Let's go to where we actually get an output of something. Okay, so our power output this time should be 80. So we move to 30, greater than 19. We are not less than 60, so that'll disable that. And you see it disabled all of them too. So again, this is some of the tricks for getting all of these to get how to combine and reorder things in clever ways. Then we just do our next check. Yes, at 50, we are not greater than 79, so we don't subtract the 50, and we move it on out. And it reads, and then it writes, and there we go. So let's go kick this off and see how we did. Pretty sure we'll do it. I mean, we tested it. And I have a lot of confidence in my testing there, so. And there we go. Power usage was pretty darn good. There must be some clever optimizations that you can do that I missed to get the power lower. Or they're using some other components that I now see we have unlocked, and it's not telling us not to use them. Interesting. We'll have to see if we can do better than that next time. But let's go see what's next. Ooh. Now let's go check out Cool Dad. Oh wait, undocumented instructions. Let's go check that out first. Oh, well, that's nice. Wow. I don't think the @ would have been useful yet. However, the generate pulse definitely would have been nice. Yeah, I think we can go back and fix some of our older puzzles with that. But not today. Today, we're going to go check out Cool Dad and see what's going on. Okay, so we will need to go make a pen. A vape changing, color changing pen. Doesn't sound too hard. Go see what kind of things we have to do. This is interesting. We have a radio receiver in our... Oh, that's right. They were talking about using it to music. Okay. We have a non-blocking receiver, LED RG and V are simple outputs connected to the ultra bright RGB tricolor LED from top to bottom. When a packet is received over the radio pulse. Okay, so it gives us the colors and duration. We will have to go see. Let's go see what kind of inputs we have here. We have a whole lot of part not recommended, as I'm not even sure what those parts are yet. Also seeing a lot of, those are simple I/O pins, which means we're going to need P0, P1, means we're going to need at least 2 chips. Now we did something very similar with the wireless controller. We're probably going to want to do something along those lines again now. There's going to be a lot of data buffering that's going to be annoying, and we're going to need at least 3 simple I/O pins. So let's start with our outputs, because I'm assuming this is going to be a lot more difficult than it looks on the surface. So let's just use 3 simple, let's use 3 of the MC4000s. These little cutouts are very, very annoying, because you can't run wires past them, can't place chips on them. They just kind of get in the way. So the really fun trick here is going to be synchronization between all different things. So now one trick I have is the way some of the X-Bus stuff works. I wonder if we can actually take advantage of just having each one of these chips all on the same bus. It's also kind of in the name X-Bus, which usually means you're going to have more data than just like a single I/O pin or something. Let's move that up and out of the way for now. And I'm pretty sure we're going to need... Yeah, let's grab one of these. All of them on it. Let's do a real quick simple test. Let's move 25 to X3 and then move 50 to X3 and then move 100 to X. And let's have each one of these sleep until they receive data on X0. And then they're going to move X0 to P1. And we need a sleep in here. Let's just make it 10 because we don't really care. And right at 25, everybody wakes up, which is also interesting. They all wake up at the same time, and they're all going to read it. Oh, this one's going to get it first. also something to check out then. And the next one goes to that one, and then the last one goes to that one again because it didn't sleep long enough. Okay? We can solve some of this, but it's interesting it went here first. Let's go try something right quick. I want to see if the length will affect who it goes to first. So we write the 25. Oh, the bottom one still gets it first. And then that one, and then of course it goes to the bottom one again. Ah, that is very interesting. But let's keep this one from reading it right away, shall we? Now a no-op is basically no operation, no instruction. So it counts as a line of code executed, but it doesn't do anything. So it's a way of doing some timing. Let's have that dude chill for 2, and let's have this person chill for 1. So this one should read first, then this one, and then this one. Okay. Well, the good news is everybody seemed to... Ooh, start it again. It's waiting and it's blocking. Okay. I think we still have some more work we need to do right quick. But let's just make sure we don't go back to the sleep until everybody's had a chance to read. So we'll have 2 more no-ops there and a no-op there. Now let's see what happens. First one comes in, it's red. The other 2 had no-ops. And then apparently we need an extra one there. No, we shouldn't, because this should go here, right? No. Alright, so let's just add another one. No-op our way to victory here. And it's okay, this one got here before it's been written to because it'll block. So it should be getting data this time. Right? You should be sleeping. I think this one's going to wake up, so we may need another no-op here. No? I don't think I fully understand that, but the timing is working out how we want it, because this one at 25, this one at 50, and this one at... Let's just go with that. And then if we write to them, then we can do that. Now, the next part is going to be reading from this thing. And just doing that's going to be fun. Let's have you here. How about there? And so we're just doing that to pack it in a little bit closer and actually take advantage of these pins so that this side's unused, or this side has more room for other things like... So now, we need to go like what we were doing with the wireless headphones. Let's do our reset, move x0 to the DAT, and then test equal DAT to -9. Now we have to save off x0 to the DAT, because otherwise if we test it equal, it'll consume that data because it's an X bus. Then when we won't have that data go move off, because the first packet is actually the red value. And so we need to keep that around so that if it is a valid value, then we need to be able to give that over to the first MC4000 there. Okay, so now we're going to want to move, if it's not equal to -999, we want to move the DAT to x3, and then move x0 to x3, and then move x0 to x3 again. And then for the last one, let's move that off to the accumulator so we can have something to do some math on here. Okay, now we need to know how many more cycles we need to stay on for. Subtract 1, this is greater than, if the accumulator is greater than 0, we don't want to do anything because we're still subtracting. Otherwise, we need to send a 0 to a 3 so that they can all reset. And then we sleep one. Right, so we move out what their value should be. They grab that, throw it here, and go. If we equal 0, then we will go through our reset logic and reset all of them and sleep. Otherwise, we come back to the top. See if we have new data to send out. So let's give this a shot and see if this works. Huh, good so far. Let's actually work. Wow. Huh. Really expecting to need some more effort than that. We have a terrible solution, apparently. Let's go take a quick look and see if we can get rid of some of these MC4000s, because I think if we change it around to where instead of writing to the X, we just directly output to one of the simple I/O pins, we can drop 2 of those and just have have one X bus used. Try that right quick. Okay, so you can go away. You can go away. So we will want you. We're going to want that. We're going to want this one here and this one here. Now this time, all we're doing is just reading it. And so for our first data packet, let's send that to, we're going to want to send that to X3, since this guy is the one controlling the red value, which is the first one. And then this one can go to P1. And this one can go to P0. And then here again, we just make sure everything gets set to back to 0. Let's give that a shot. That's working too. Wow. Okay, that should be a lot cheaper and a lot less power hungry. Much, much better. Interesting that our power usage is so terrible, but our price is way down. I'm now very curious how someone was able to get it for 6 yen. 6 won, I guess that's 5. So maybe they were able to get it with, they couldn't have gotten it with just one controller. No way, because you don't have enough output pins. Unless they used a single, yeah, there must have been something fancy going on using some of these extra parts we don't have access to yet. So I'm pretty happy with the refactoring there. Actually put us in the reasonable range. Ooh, quite a bit more. Yeah, so I guess there was no point to us doing this. That's part of the fun of working with other people. But I think that was a fairly successful episode. We will go take a look at these other ones next time. So with that, if you like, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. If you have any questions, suggestions, feedback, or advice, drop it in the box below. Good luck in your races, and y'all take it easy.